Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on what is a project manager and what exactly do they do. We're going to get into the definition of the project manager, and we'll get into some of the responsibilities and tasks that they need to manage and they have to do. So we'll get into that right now. Before we start, I want to let you know of my course, IT Project Manager Interview Success. You'll learn how to structure your past experience into a project management resume and learn techniques to prepare you for the next project manager interview. Also, please subscribe to be informed of future videos related to project management and find the link for the course in the description. Let's get started. Firstly, we need to answer the question, what is a project manager? And the project manager leads a team to complete a finite effort. And what we mean by finite effort is a particular effort that has a start and a specific end date. It's not necessarily an operational process, but it's actually a project with a definite start and definite end. And the person leading that particular effort is going to be the project manager. And also the project manager leads projects that contribute to the overall corporate strategy. These are projects that were approved by senior management, and as they thought that these projects would contribute to the overall corporate strategy. Not any project is going to be approved, only specific projects that are beneficial to the organization and profitable to their corporate strategy are going to be approved and selected for execution and to be managed by the project manager. And the project manager also is the main point of contact for the project. The project manager is going to be directly accountable for the success or failure of a project. So the project manager is the main point person for a project where they are the main point of contact as well as the person who's directly accountable for the success of that project. Then we have to answer the question, what does a project manager do? So we have some variables here that the project manager takes care of. Of course, there's going to be more as the project goes along, but these are some of the high level ones that I highlighted here. And one is definitely the roles and responsibilities. The project manager needs to assist and help defining that because that serves as the basis of the communications throughout the project if everybody knows who's who and what responsibilities they have. So that includes what role will each teammate have on the project. You may have teammates with specific positions such as director or business analyst, but what specific role will they play in the context of this project? And what would be helpful here is a RACI matrix that defines the people involved in the project and what activities they are either responsible, accountable, consulted with, or informed of. And that's what RACI stands for. So you have a list of resources and what is their particular role in the project and what are they specifically accountable for. The next thing is that the project manager manages communication, and this is very critical here. And this can come in the form of video conferencing, emails, IMs, or in-person meetings. If everybody's back in the office, in-person would also be the main communication method here. And what the project manager does here is that he has to ensure that there is no confusion among the teammates. As the project manager goes along managing the project, if that person senses confusion, whether looking at the emails or the IMs or just in general the communication that's going on in the project manager kind of has to call a timeout and call a huddle so that everyone is back on track as to the clarity of the communication. So the project manager is definitely accountable for this. And this here, taking action upon the confusion, that goes back to my previous point where the project manager has to eliminate that confusion and make sure that the communication is clear and everyone knows what to do. And the project manager also manages the risks. It's critical that the project manager identifies the risks early as possible, especially if there's a risk to the project schedule or cost or the scope. change is part of project management, and there will be changes on projects. It's extremely rare that a project will not see a change, and that is fine, but it's how this change is communicated. And there's an old expression where bad news ages badly, and that's exactly the case here. The project manager needs to be assertive and proactive and communicate change as early as possible, so that this step here, developing the mitigation plans, that can be enabled, and there could be a plan in place to mitigate that risk and minimize it. Then the next thing the project manager does is manages the project schedule. It's not enough to be good in Microsoft Project or some sort of scheduling tool. It's not enough to be good in that. You have to really hold people accountable, develop the schedule with the team input. It's not just the project manager putting it together, but the team has to have the input here. And here the project manager has to hold everyone accountable to get their tasks done on time. And if it's a situation where resources is having difficulty completing those tasks due to obstacles, the project manager is accountable to make sure that those obstacles are removed. Then here, the project manager also empowers others, and the project manager needs to get help to get all tasks done. It's going to be almost impossible for the project manager to complete all of the tasks on a particular project schedule. He's going to need the help of the project team, and this is where the project manager they can empower others to lead on the project. And as an example is if you have a development team in India and the project manager is located in the United States, there's no reason, if there's a technical discussion that's involved, there's no reason for everyone to wait until the Eastern time zone. That team can meet in India, discuss the technical detail if all the technical resources are in India, and then that status can be brought forward to the project manager during Eastern time. Now, having said that, you do not want to delegate accountability. Again, the project manager is accountable for the entire project. So it doesn't mean that you are delegating accountability to the other resources getting the job done. They are accountable to get that particular item done or task, but as a whole, you as the project manager are still accountable, and you have to really make sure that things are going smoothly, even if it's offshore. Then here, the project manager manages the project budget. Not only does the project manager establish the budget, that person cannot just walk away from there. During the execution of the project manager has to make sure that the costs are in alignment with what was budgeted. And similar to a project schedule, if that's off, the project manager needs to understand why. So similarly with the project budget, if the project budget is off or there are variances, the project manager needs to either investigate as to why that's happening, or they must explain and be ready to explain why that's happening on their project and have a plan to get everything back on track. And then the project manager also manages change. Here, as we mentioned before, change can happen on a project. So the project manager, going back to our previous point, has to be very proactive about anticipating this change. And then when the change does happen, the project manager needs to handle that change and go through the appropriate processes. So in that way, the project manager can get approvals from the appropriate stakeholders, and that change can be implemented into the project. That brings us to the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching, and please remember to subscribe on my website with the link in the description. You'll gain access to free project management templates and newsletters. You'll also receive discount links to my online courses. All information is in the description below. Thanks for watching.